Greetings,
everybody.
Hi. We're back for another week of Trans Gurus. And I want to thank all of our viewers for tuning in. We really appreciate you taking out the time to, listen to what we have to say. And hopefully some of our words are inspiring and helpful to your life. So this week we are talking about what we feel is sacred, holy, special about us being transgender. And I'm going to toss it over to Mr. Christian to start it off.
Thank you, Raji.
Sure.
I was so happy when you came up with the idea for this topic, because this is something that I think about all the time. And cutting straight to it, I think I've mentioned before on here that I really feel that being trans, we have such a great opportunity in these bodies that our souls decided to inhabit. And I think that we are actually evolved higher than some other souls that are on the planet right now. And it might not seem so in the beginning. And because I sure as hell didn't, I didn't believe this way from the very beginning. But as I kept going along and was persistent with my journey, I started to realize and reflect on my life. And I would notice, like when I was younger, I had a different way of thinking about things. And I just would notice like my parents making decisions or my family or people around me. And a lot of times I would see them going through struggles and obstacles and problems. And I had like a different way of processing it. And the solutions that I used to come up with when I would, go after it and practice it, it would always work out well. And then people would kind of look at me and be like, what the hell? How did you come up with that? Or or how come I didn't think of that? And without having any prior knowledge of that particular thing to my awareness. And it's like, I think that maybe the term is like wisdom from the mouth of a babe. It's like we came straight from that intelligent source and our souls are now inhabiting these bodies. And I believe that we're born or not born like in the physical, but in the spiritual with both female and masculine energy. So that now is being physically manifested into us as transgender individuals. And we're kind of living that out and pursuing our purpose that's kind of pre-programmed into us. So, and I notice it more and more and more, like that being a reality in my life. Like I'm not just coming up with some type of like floozy like theory. This is stuff that like I believe because of me walking through this life and going through all that I have and noticing that like being expanded like with my mind, like seeing like both sides of the coin, masculine, feminine, coming to peace with both, coming to peace with being trans and being different, all the things that I've had to struggle and suffer through has grown my awareness and consciousness level. And I see it as like work to be done, not like a terrible thing, not a bad thing. It's work to be done. And then whenever I leave off on this earth, whenever the time that I have borrowed here is up and I have to leave and go somewhere else, I'm going to pick up where I left off or start a new project that needs to be done. And being trans, I think it's like maybe 1 or 2 levels away from like this incredible like climax that needs to take place to heal this earth. So I think we have a great duty and responsibility on our shoulders, and that's why we have to get all the lessons and suffering in the up front in the beginning of our lives, or at whatever point of your life you have it. And it's just necessary to be done. So the sacredness of being trans, I think it's just powerful and overwhelming. And if anybody else has something to say, I would love to hear.
I thought you were saying, they talk about reincarnation and we're reincarnated. I wonder if perhaps we can make a conscious choice, if that is true, to be trans and enter this world because we're on a higher level. And you know, they say you have to repeat, in other words, to get things right, and then you come back another time and you get things right, and then you come back. I wonder if being trans means that we got a lot of things right in past lives, and now we've come back. Because being trans, I mean, no, everybody's different. There's hard times and there's difficult times, but once you get through it all, I think that it's a blessing for the fact that we feel on a different level. We can recognize things on a different level. We're aware of things that other people go right past their head. I think everything about it it puts us on a higher level of being able to communicate and be aware in the world.
It's a very interesting point. And, you know, just look a little bit about history, because history tells us a lot of things. If you go back in the Mesopotamia times, it means way before Christ, many transgender people were actually priests, you know that? And they were part of religious communities. It was very muchly used that, you know, typical transgender people would go into the religious thing. Even, I mean, more to the American civilization, I mean, what happened in America, don't forget, many of the Native American tribes had two spirits which were considered like transgender. We would put them now under the two transgender people. And many of the two-spirited people were as well very much part of the spiritual religion of the tribe.
And they were like the leaders, right? I think I've read.
Very often.
Like the people they would go in to get consultation and help from.
Exactly. I mean, the history of transgender people and spirituality is a very old history. It's nothing new. It's very, very old. I think, actually, to tell the truth, in our modern times, we are coming back to what already existed. Still very interesting. And because, you know, I've got quite a lot of relations with one country called India, transgender people in India are considered kind of very good luck bringers. One friend of mine in south of India just told me that, you know, it is always a privilege to when a newborn comes to the world, that he is with a transgender person, because it brings purity to the newborn. And don't forget, India has got one of the largest transgender communities in the world. We're talking about millions of people. And one of the oldest too in modern times, because it's very interesting, but the English, when they were colonizing India, they forbid the idras, which were thousands of years for transgender people. They were forbidden by the English colonists in 18-something, so 1830s or 1820s. They were declared outlaws. And they've existed for thousands of years. And now, modern days, India has reinstalled their statues as, and they even included the so-called X-sex. That means in your passport, instead of having an F for female or M for male, you've got an X for two-gendered or, you know, transgender person. So that was my part.
Well, I mean, God, so far, everyone said some really like powerful stuff. And I would say like what kind of resonated with me was the whole thing of like the levels as far as spiritual growth and like the whole reincarnation thing. I've always felt like this is my last time here. I could be wrong. I don't know. I guess I'll find out eventually. But like spiritually and just mentally, I don't think I'm going to come back. If there is reincarnation, I feel like I'm done here. Like once I finish, I'm done with Earth. But like Christian was saying, then for me, it's like on to the next. Like, what's next? I mean, we live in such a huge universe. And then on top of that, or beyond that, there's so many universes that they can't even count. So, I mean, this is a big existence that we are a part of. So I'm sure if I don't come back here, I'll be somewhere else doing something. But, you know, because they say energy never dies, it changes form. So yeah, I've always had that, like that feeling. And because I talk to other people that believe in reincarnation, and a lot of them feel like they're going to come back. And I'm like, you know, I don't really think I am. And I don't really have the desire to. It's almost like once I do this, then, okay, I'm finished with Earth and like on to the next. For me, I think, Ella, you were talking about India and even the Native American culture and different cultures around the world where they maybe put us in a higher regard culturally. They look at us in a different way. And that's what it boils down to. It's like all relative to how people view something and their opinions of it. So I say that to say this. From young, they made me feel ostracized and, you know, made me feel bad about myself and like, you know, not confident, insecure, but it couldn't destroy the light that I have from within, like my love and light that I have. No matter how many times they wanted to beat me down and call me names, it was there. So my point is, no matter what people say and how they view you, it can't take our divine holiness away. We are special and we have a gift because we were able to live as both genders at one time. Like me, even though I've always felt like a woman inside, there was a period here in this life on this planet that I was identified as male. And I had that experience that will always be with me. Like I can deny it and not acknowledge it, but the experience, when we have an experience, it's with us. Whether we want to acknowledge it or not, we have it. And so I think all of that adds or makes our beingness so special because we have really the perspective of both genders, the duality. And, you know, a lot of people say God is duality. So again, Christian, you were talking about, you know, that whole connection with God and being male and female or female and male. And so, yeah, I really do feel that. I feel that in my soul. And thank goodness I've been able to live life and get to a place where I can say it and know it, truly know it, despite all the negative messages and, you know, the naysayers. I am able to sit and say, okay, I know my divinity, you know, and I know that what I have is special. And we have a discernment that many other people don't have. We're able to look at things in ways like Christian had said too, where, and Bonnie even mentioned it, I think, where we can like look at a situation differently than like other people, and also from both perspectives. We even do it, I think, sometimes and don't even realize we're doing it because it's just a part of who we are. So on that note, I guess I'll toss it over to Shannon to kind of close with her thoughts.
Wow. Hello, everyone.
Hello.
Hello.
Yeah, I guess the common thread that I'm hearing is the the value in which we place on our own lives. And there was something I read a long time ago. It's the most difficult journeys lead to the grandest of destinations. And on a couple of the previous videos, we spoke about having to go through the jungle to get to the other side. And the sense of self, the sense of worth, the sense of the contribution that we can make to our community and our society as a trans person is immense. We are very unique creatures. And the culmination of all these experiences, and I think I even said in a video, I don't know, maybe a year ago, that we're talking about being reincarnated. I think my soul, my spirit, is that of a transgender Amazon warrior goddess, and that resonates with my soul. And Christian and everyone said some really powerful stuff. And I look at it this way too. So I do a lot of crazy exercises and go on these walks these power walks up and down this bridge on Fort Lauderdale Beach. And I sometimes think to myself, what possesses me to engage in such extreme exercises? And then I think to myself, it's like, and Christian mentioned this, like my soul chose this human to incarnate in. And so for whatever reason, I've been given the horsepower necessary to become the human that I am. I think all of us are extraordinary. All humans are extraordinary in their own right. And I think that jungle that a trans person has to go through to go to the other side, it's almost like an initiation. It's like, I was in the Marine Corps, and you just don't become a Marine. You got to go through a Marine Corps boot camp. And in my case, it was Parris Island, South Carolina. And there's quite a few folks don't make it to the other side. But when you do, for the Marines, the boot camp, that 11-week period in Parris Island, South Carolina, that's the jungle. And you come out the other side and you're a U.S. Marine. Well, in all of our journeys to achieve a sense of self-mastery, you got to go through the jungle to find yourself. And when you get to the other side and you find yourself all intact and you're stronger, you're wiser, you have just more wisdom, your feet are more firmly planted on the ground, that gives you a position from which to operate throughout the world. And for a trans person, that's extremely unique. So the trials and tribulations that we have to go through to find ourselves and then express ourselves. And I can tell you this right now. I've been openly trans. I've had my boobs for almost 3 years now, in that I've got to the point that I own myself to such a degree that nothing that I've experienced yet so far in my life could sway me. And that requires tremendous footing, a tremendous foundation. And the only way to get that is to ride out the storm. And yeah, man, we're all so sacred. We're all so unique. We all have our unique ways to contribute to our society. And I think everyone's got a lot of powerful stuff. So now I'm just glad who I am. I wouldn't want to be anybody else.
And everybody's an individual, and everybody is entitled to be who they are. And you should never expect somebody to be who you expect them to be, because they should be who they expect themselves to be. And you have no right to tell them otherwise, that, oh, you shouldn't be this way, or you shouldn't do, all that. No. Everybody should have that freedom to be just like you've done what you've done, and Christian's done, and Raj has done, and Ella's done, and I know I've done. But what I'm just saying is I'm okay with me, and everybody on this panel is okay with themselves. And that's the point I think we're trying to carry over to people, that it's just because you're trans, people can put you down. But the reality of it, it's your perception. Somebody can put me down, and I hold my head up, and I'm proud, and maybe even shake these a little bit. But what I'm saying is, hey, I like me. I get up in the morning. I see myself. You don't like me. You don't have to like me. But 99% of the time, the more I like myself, other people will like me too.
God. I mean, listen to... Oh, go ahead.
No, I just wanted to say amen to that. Life is a mirror, and there's a saying. I think it goes something like, "Someone's got to be me, so it might as well be me." You know, the world needs every one of us. Every one of us add a unique piece to the puzzle. So be yourself, and you know, someone's got to be Raji, someone's got to be everyone, someone's got to be me. So I might as well be me, and I'm going to do me the best that I possibly can.
I totally agree with you. And I would like to add something which is actually quite interesting, because I think what makes transgender people so much more different and so much special and so much sacred is actually a very small thing. Most people, they come with a head and with a gender which, you know, corresponds pretty nicely. Not with us. With us, we have a head and a gender which does not correspond at birth. And what makes us special is that we have to find ourselves. They throw us into this world and they tell us, found yourself. And through this process, we go through extreme thoughts, extreme, you know, feelings that we have to express ourselves to be ourselves, to who really we are. And then when we find what we find, it's an incredible world. We finally found togetherness.
Like synchronicity.
Correct. And that's what makes us special.
You know, like when you were just saying that, Ella, it was making me think about like you know how when you feel comfortable in an environment, you can be yourself. You know, like a lot of times, like when I'm out in the world, sometimes I have to put on like depending on what the situation calls for, sometimes I have to put on a different Christian than what you guys see when we're together. You know,
right?
You guys know me. And when sometimes doing that is not always comfortable. And I noticed that depending on the situation, when I, to the level that I have to do that, put that, that different face on or that different act on, it's not as empowering as when I am able to fully embrace being comfortable and everything. So I remember when I was younger, I was at this college. I was at school. I was in a school program for athletics, and I was just starting to transition. I had my hair was all crazy looking, and I was like, I guess to say I looked like a hot mess. But when I was doing my thing, I just kind of embraced like, all right, I look ugly today. I'm just going to do my thing here at my track meet, and I'm just going to throw the damn thing. And I was having fun. I decided to just say, F it. I'm just going to have a good time and talk with everybody and be social. And when I embraced like the way I looked and everything, I didn't really care about what anybody thought. I didn't care about what their opinion was or how I came off. I mean, I was really kind and sweet and funny and have it just in the moment, totally in it. I actually had like a girl that came up to me and, wanted like to talk to me, and I didn't even see it, but I guess she wanted to talk to me more than like, I guess like go on a date or something, just because of me embracing who I was and like owning it. And like being trans, we kind of like have this blessing that we sometimes interpret as a curse, that like, oh, we have to go through all these things now. And how come I can't just be myself and be normal like everybody else is, perceives as, but I think when we go through this huge trial or this obstacle course called being trans, it's awesome if we really look at it, because now you have the opportunity to overcome all this stuff and really, really, really become yourself, like really get like totally locked into loving yourself and embracing it. Because if you don't, then there's the alternative is really, I don't know. It's just not what I would want.
And the alternative is to live in your own jail, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Exactly, like your social prison. Exactly.
Absolutely.
And you know,
And the
God,
prison is there.
yes. Oh my God. And now you listening to you all say stuff, like it brought back a memory for me, where this was many years ago. I went to the 163rd Street Mall here in South Florida with a girlfriend of mine. And we were walking through the mall. People were acting really rude and nasty and saying all sorts of stuff. And when we got out, I was kind of like depleted. Like, and she looked at me and she could tell. And she grabbed my hand and she said, and I'm not really a religious person, I'm more spiritual. But she said, look how they treated Jesus. And she says, you are special. And she says, don't you ever forget it. She said, just remember how they treated Jesus. And so, and that like, when in that moment, like it really hit me, because I mean, they were really like making fun of me, and it was all sorts of people all through the mall. Like, I don't know what, anyway, that brings me to today. I had a taste for Jamaican food. Okay. And no offense to any of our Jamaican viewers, but I think keeping it real, we know that culture can be pretty homophobic and transphobic. Yes. And so the old me would have not gone to the Jamaican restaurant because of all my fears of what they were going to do and say and how they were going to treat me. But I'm at a place now where I know my divinity. I know that I have a right in this world, just like every single other human being. So I bit the bullet and I went to this Jamaican restaurant, which I had never been to before. And I walked in and, oh God, you know, as soon as the woman saw me, you saw her eyes bulge out, and then she's going and whispering to the other woman, and the women were acting like, you know, you could tell the energy and like attitude. The men, on the other hand, the men customers, they didn't really say anything. And then one of them was like, he smiled at me and he was like, you know, a little flirty and making conversation. So I ordered my food, I paid, I even left a little tip, and I walked out. And when I walked out, I said, you know what? I didn't let their views, the good and the bad, whatever it was, the indifferent, stop me from what I wanted to do. I wanted some Jamaican food today, and I went and got it. And, you know, it might sound petty, but that little thing shows me how much I've grown. Because there would have been a time that I would have stopped myself and said, that's all right. You know, just because of the fear of how people were going to judge me. So I say all of that to say, no matter what, always know that, you know your divinity, know that you have a birthright. The very fact that you exist makes you special. And like Jimmy and Christian and Bonnie and Ella were saying, you know, we all are here. We bring something special to the world. No one else can do it but you, whatever you bring. And so I love that. And I swear I thought I was done, and then you all got me thinking.
but Raji, it's like no one else can, like how you said, no one else can do it but you. Bringing that special thing that you were downloaded, that program, whatever you're supposed to bring to the world. No one else can do it but you. But in order for you to do a really good job and to really make an impact, like an insane impact that is felt throughout the world or in your community or whatever drop in the pond that you're supposed to make, whatever splash in the pond you're supposed to make, the only way to really make a huge impact is to embrace it, not fight it. You're your own worst enemy. The only one that's going to take you down is you. And if we embrace that, then we can make a huge impact. if we embrace ourselves and love ourselves and really own it, like Jimmy said, then we're gonna make a huge splash in that lake and that water.
Absolutely.
Amen. And I already feel the water splashing around. We've all of us on this panel have made humongous splashes. And so, anyone else before we close want to have something to say, or? Oh, I think we did it. Well, I want to thank our viewers again for tuning in, and I hope that today really resonated with you. And so have a great week. And I wish everyone love, happiness, peace, good health, prosperity, and many wonderful blessings. We're Trans Gurus.
Bye.